Brexit. Brexit caused this. But the Brexiters, they will cling on with their fingertips to try and justify their Brexit, but even they will find it rather hard to justify increasing food prices. And Brexit, well, it caused this. It's not just the lack of tomatoes, cucumbers, or Theresa Coffeys turnips, no. Or more recently, peppers. A new system of border checks on goods arriving from Europe is expected to, well, force rocketing UK food prices. They'll already be higher anyway due to food inflation at 19.2%. But businesses are going to have to grapple with hundreds of millions of pounds of extra fees. Now, food groups, they got a glimpse, they did, of the UK government's long-awaited post-Brexit border plans. Get my worms out in a minute. By a series of consultations. And they said that the proposals will substantially increase food costs for customers. That's Brexit for you. Where's the benefits of Brexit? Nobody's seen them yet. Unless you're in the EU, of course, since many industries have evacuated from the UK. Well, increased food costs due to checks, etc. And it could spell trouble for the country, which imports in real terms around 70% of its food. Now, I know they say it's about 30%, but they don't allow for the fact that much of the food that's imported is repackaged as British. Well, yes, the majority of food is imported from the EU. In an environment of food and drink inflation that has hit 19.2%. It's the highest level since, in 45 odd years. The government officials actually warned the firms at these consultations that they will be hit with around 400 million in extra costs as a result of, long-deferred new checks at the border. Oh dear. Welcome to the Brexit, sir, as a Dutchman once said. Well, Jacob Rees Mogg himself, he said that, by allowing Brexit imposed checks on food will be catastrophic. It will cost businesses millions of pounds, if not billions. He said it was an act of self-harm. Well, it's going to be happening this year. Anyway, while you're here, please boop the old like button. And if you want to support the channel, you can do that on Patreon or buy us a coffee. And there will be a secret word at the end of this video. Well, ministers have argued that full implementation of the new post-Brexit procedures, which eventually include full digitisation of paperwork and a trusted trader scheme. For major importers in order to reduce border checks. But what about all the SMEs? They're not going to be on that list. No. They'll be wiped out. All the small to medium enterprises, those who import. Sad. But that's Brexit. Well, it's not going to offset the costs. No. Digitisation, that is. You can't scan the lorries, as Jacob Rees Mogg once said. What a plonker. Well, supply chain disruption caused by new trade barriers due to Brexit have been blamed for the UK's surge in food prices of late by ministers and industry. Obviously, there is the war in Ukraine. Obviously, you can't get away from the fact that Ukraine is considered as the breadbasket of the world. But still, we still import a huge amount of food from the EU. And much of the food from Ukraine came via the EU. Now, a member of a major business group, British business group, he said that incoming post-Brexit red tape will mean some producers on the EU side will find it no longer possible to trade with the UK. Will be boycotted. Sideswiped. Well, and that some businesses will find themselves just shut out. That's what he said. It will add to the costs, and probably inflation. But we can't keep running away from the fact that we need to implement the, post-Brexit checks as required within the Trade and Cooperation Agreement. Besides, the EU have already done so in the other direction. And you saw what happened there. And still happening. Well, you can't argue that although Brexiters clinging on, they will, that the UK has seen trade flows with the EU disrupted since leaving the bloc's single market and customs union. But like I say, Brexiters will try and cling on. Because I just want the Brexit. That's what they say. That's what they want. They just want the Brexit. I think Brexit is dead, to be honest. It was always dead. And recent analysis by the Financial Times, they found that Britain's goods exports, they're dropping at a faster rate than any other G7 country. Can you imagine what's going to happen in the other direction? This isn't necessarily great for the EU either. No. Obviously, member states, they're trading, they make money. Take money from the UK into the purse of EU member states. Then Brexit is just such an own goal. It really is. But as that Conservative MP Tobias Ellwood said, that he fears that his party, Conservative Party, will pay the price at the next general election, and so they should. And he's one of, I suppose, if you're going to say there's a decent Conservative out there, I suppose Tobias Ellwood could be considered that, maybe. The rest of them, though, oh my giddy aunt. Well, Brexit, like I said, is dead. You could say it is actually extinct. Like a dodo. Well, anyway, that's the secret word of today. Dodo. Because that's what Brexit is. It's extinct, like the dodo. I think that's a bird on the Galapagos Islands or something. Anyway, it's a dead bird. Extinct. It's no longer there. It's kaput. And I think Brexit is pretty much kaput. And the longer we actually cling on to it, well, not we, because as a democracy, the more that we will become extinct. Our GDP is on par with each other, with our GDP and our borrowing. Pretty much the same. And Rishi Sunak's pledged to say, ooh, we mustn't borrow too much, pretty much. Have to get inflation under control. We've borrowed more than we had ever done. Come 2019, it went like that, it did. We don't have that buffer anymore. No. How on earth are we supposed to pull ourselves out of this mess? I'll never know. You tell me. Leave that in the comments down below. Anyway, we're doing rewilding here in France, where we're planting 1,000 trees on 2 hectares land. If you want to be a part of that, there's a GoFundMe link down below, for which you can buy a tree, and I'll plant a tree on your behalf. But I'll also make a sign to go with the tree, with your name on, or in memory of a loved one, but also in bat boxes, bird boxes, bird houses and stuff as well. It's all about the habitat, see? It's all about the little creatures. But it is. Yeah. It's a rewilding project to create habitation for animals. Anyway, the word of the day is dodo, but please boot the old like button, because it helps the channel, you know. Well, it's time for me to go, so I'm going to say ta-ta, you know. So ta-ta. Don't forget, comment down below.